Hello, my name is Tammy Janzen. I'm going to be using QuickBooks Accountant Desktop 2015, working on an extra credit problem in Chapter 6 on how to set up company preferences. In QuickBooks, if you go under Edit, Preferences, as you can see here, I'm going to slide this up a little bit. There's actually quite a few options here, and you can slide up and down with the bar here to see all the options that you can change, the categories. It automatically defaults to general. One of the main things, if you want to check or uncheck, you can press this box. It goes by pressing enter, moves between the fields. Okay, you can leave that. Some people like that, some don't. Automatically open drop-down list when typing. Beep when recording a transaction, automatically place decimal point. Sometimes I like to use that, most of the time not. There's quite a few options. Company preferences here. Same thing with time format if you want it minutes. Always show years as digits. Normally this is checked. I uncheck that. You always want to make sure you save transactions before printing. Actually, if we go up here to accounting, and this is where it always requires accounts. Okay, so if it's a repairs, maintenance, whatever the account might be, or if it's an expense. Some people like to use account numbers. Normally I do not. Sometimes I like to check this. Normally this is defaulted. Warn if transactions are 90 days in the past. Quite a few people don't like this, but actually I do leave this on just because in case if I'm typing a month ago and I type, a year ago. Same thing within the future, because, eventually you might catch it when you're doing a report or you wonder where a transaction is at, why you don't see it. I like to leave those on. I know it's an extra step when a box pops up. By the way, this is 90 days, in the past, but I'd rather click on it and just be warned. So basically then you can go into bills here. And as you can see, I forgot when I was going from accounting to the bills category that I didn't click on OK, which actually saves your changes. And it's asking if I want to save them now. And I'm going to say no, just because I'm showing you the different options for this company. Bills, if bills are due 10 days after receipt, that's an automatic default. You can change it. Also, when you're in a bill, you can actually change it to maybe net 15, net 30. So even though if you have just a minimum of 10 days, you can change it to net 30, due upon receipt, whatever you like. Paying bills, you can click the box to automatically use credits, automatically use discounts. I don't normally do that. That way you have to apply them if you want to, so you don't forget. The calendar here, there's company preferences. You go under my preferences. I don't really usually change that a lot. You can show what's like upcoming data, whether it's 7 days or past due date at 60 days. We go into checking. This I use quite a bit. If you click on open the right checks, if you have Aloha Properties only has one checking account, but maybe if you have 3 bank accounts, but you use the one called checking, 9 out of 10 times, you would want to default this, because then you don't have to select which bank account you're going to write the checks with. Same way I always check the box, open the pay bills, because 9 out of 10 times it's that. Same way with open the pay sales tax and open the make deposits. And like I said, it just pretty much defaults for this company. There is only one checking account or bank account, so that's where it's going to pay this stuff from. You can look at company preferences. You can print the account names on your voucher if you want. The different option there. Same thing. You can select default accounts to use, where it talks about open the create paychecks. Of course, we only have one bank account, so it fills it in. Open the payroll liability. Same thing, it can default to checking. Basically, the bank feeds if you want to connect a bank account. And same thing on now. Watch, if I don't say OK and I go to desktop view, wants to know if I want to save those changes. I'm going to go ahead and say no, just because I'm showing you here how to do that. This is on your desktop what you want to see under each category. For customers, you always want to see invoices, sales receipts, statements, and statement charges. Vendors, you're going to see enter bills and pay bills. You can go into here to my preferences. I like to use multiple windows, so you can open like a report and then a chart of accounts and then the check register. You can open multiple windows. I always make sure it's saved when closing a company, and it's just a good habit to make sure you save everything as you exit. You can set up finance charges here. As you can see, we're not using them here. Excuse me. Sometimes you can put in like 18%, or how often you want to give them a grace period, like 30 days. Then you would pick the finance charge account, so you could set up that account. I don't use this a whole lot. Like I said, we go back into general. We've talked about that, the company preferences or my preferences. Maybe when you're in items and inventory, you can do inventory and purchase orders are active. We want to make sure that's always available, so you can see that. I don't usually change a whole lot else in there. Jobs and estimates. Do you want to create estimates? In Aloha Properties, we do not. Some companies do, so you would want to make sure you check yes there. If you use progress invoicing, you would check same thing, yes here. Okay, multiple currencies, which most people just use US dollar, and of course we say no. There's no preferences there to change payments. You go into company preferences. Your customers can pay you online if you do online payments, credit card, bank transfer. Otherwise, when you receive payments, it's automatically apply payments, calculate the payments, and here we're using undeposited funds as a default deposit account. Under payroll and employees, we're doing the full payroll. You can set up preferences for the pay stubs, sick and vacation, and how do you want the employee list to go, first name, last name. No preferences there. Reminders. This I use quite a bit, not in Aloha. You can click on this and show reminders list when opening a company file. So maybe invoices coming up, bills coming up that are due, reports and graphs. You can always set that to refresh automatically anytime you make a change. Or you can say prompt me to modify report options before opening report. Company preferences, this is where you would set it to cash or accrual. Aging reports from due date or from transaction date, whichever you prefer. Excuse me. Sales and customers. You can, if usual shipping method, you can set that here. Depends on if, maybe you only use UPS. Duplicate invoice numbers, you always want to make sure you have that checked so you don't enter the same invoice twice. And then I don't use the time costs right here because you can check that box, ask what to do. Sales tax, no, my preferences, the company preferences, yes or no if you charge sales tax. You can add a sales tax item, which we set up Hawaii sales tax here. And when do you owe the sales tax as of invoice date, which is accrual basis, or you can do upon receipt of payment, which is cash basis. I don't use the search. Send forms, this is where if you would like to, if you go under my preferences, you can actually set up an email. So if you want to email invoices, it will check for a valid subscription. You would click on add if you have Gmail, as I do. The next thing, spelling. I always make sure the box is checked. Always check spelling before printing, saving, or sending forms of any kind. If you want to set up for tax purposes, 1099s. Actually, if you would file them or not. And of course, here we do not, so there's nothing to set up. Time and expenses. Do you track time? You can say yes or no. Do you want to create invoices from a list of time and expenses? You can set that up there. And when you're all done, if with any changes, if you say okay, then that's when it saves it. If not, we're going to close out of here. And that's how you can set up the company preferences that you choose. Thank you.